What is up, party people? Happy Monday. Hell froze over. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I was watching this today, and I thought, I can't believe this actually happened. But there's a place that you would think some people would never go. These two people, who at one time were very close to this gentleman, decided they would tread into the cave of evil and speak with them, and I found it hilarious. Of course, I'm talking about Mika and Joe. Yes, that's right, kids. Mika and Joe of Morning Joe fame wandered into the den of evil.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that.
Now, before I go on, I want you guys to think about this for a second. Donald Trump said, why don't you come on over? Why don't you come over? You have spent the last several years destroying me. Now, there's a reason for that. There's a hatred that goes much deeper that is a personal issue that has to do with the fact that Trump kind of bought on that maybe Joe Scarborough killed somebody. I don't even know how you get to some of these things. It was like, I heard you killed like an intern or something, and that's what Matt Gaetz told me. Solid move. That's the kind of craziness that's gone on. At one time, they were friends. At one time, they were pals. At one time, that Mika and Joe and Donald would do interviews. He would be on their show. It's very interesting, but alas, here they go, back at it again, kind of, sort of, but not really.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
That's fine. He's okay with that. The fact that you came to him, he likes. Something about Trump that I don't think people understand. There is this want, for whatever reason, to him, he wants to be liked by a certain group of people. The people at the New York Times, the people that he feels should like him. Take the win. That's what I keep saying, dude. Take the win. Right? You've got the win. You were president, then you weren't, and you were at the lowest point ever. The day after January 6th and all that, so January 7th, you were at the lowest point. You've gone through hell, and you're still hoping and praying that some of these people, the New York Times, the Washington Post, will show you a certain sense of credibility. Dude, you've got it. You've got it, right? You've won the day. America spoke. They want you. They're coming to you because they're trying to figure out, why did America speak to you? What is it about you that America loves comparatively to them? It's an odd thing. Am I right, sir?
I have a question.
Go for it.
Why are we burying the lead here? Why are we not discussing the fact that Morning Joe is a sexist program that doesn't acknowledge their female co-host?
That is a great question. Well, he is married to her.
Well, but, that makes it even worse.
Would it be Morning Joe and Mika? That doesn't sound the same.
She should not be suffering under the patriarchy of a show that's named after the male host only.
She is going to. She's going to.
It's just.
Should it be Morning Joe featuring Mika? See, that might be like if it's a collaboration song.
No, it's too wordy.
Too wordy?
Right here.
What would you call it then?
Two Idiots in the Morning.
Okay, we can do that. Two Idiots in the Morning. Two Idiots in the Morning. Here we go. More from the Two Idiots in the Morning.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues.
Of course he does. Because Trump wants people to like him. Ultimately, well, that's what most people want, right? As a human being, you want people to like you. Trump has this thing where he's always felt he's been shortchanged, right? His dad helped him out, and then he took it and he grew it. And then these things happened. He felt he never got some of the recognition he deserved. Then he was president, and they were always coming after him. They're still doing it to this day. All of these things, there's a certain sense of him that I want to be recognized by a certain group of people. These people love me, and I love them. But you've never given me your due. You've never told me, dude, you don't have to. You won. It's over. You won. Celebrate the dub. Celebrate it. And the fact that they came back and wanted to talk for whatever reason also shows you that, there's a portion of them, they need you. That's the other side of this. They need you. Why is that? Because people are going to different places to get their information. They're going to different places to get their news. They're going to different places in the media world to find out all of this stuff. And you went to those places. They're not there. They're trying to figure it out. On top of all of that, how do we stay relevant at a time when, quite frankly, we swung and missed again on you? And we want to know how we stay relevant.
And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realized it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
Coming back. Hey, why did you win again? What is it? Oh, you listened. But we talked right at people. We talked over them. We talked down to them. You listened. They said they had issues paying the bills. You listened. They said that you were concerned about how many people are coming here. And we called him xenophobic and all of you guys racist. He listened. It's also the big part of it. I even saw AOC over the weekend talk about the fact that, we were too busy talking over people, too busy talking down to people to maybe understand what they were going through because you didn't listen. And now you've gone back. It's just interesting that he went back, but I expect that for now. They'll be at it. Because they're going to have no choice but to be at it. They oppose a vast majority of the things that he wants to do, including the mass deportations, which aren't going to be as mass as people think because we just don't have the money for it. So it is going to be interesting to see the way that this thing plays itself out. But the fact that hell froze over and you went there, very, very interesting. What's going on, everybody? I am Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy, who will be here, in for Brian Wilson. You get me Monday and Fridays right now. I watched the fight. There was no doubt it was interesting. They were not prepared, I think, for all the stuff that took place during the fight. And we're going to get to some of that because the two fights prior to Tyson and Jake Paul were amazing. But then they got up and they fought. You heard Chris and I talk about it. I'm not in the conspiracy realm where I think, it was this or was that. I don't think it was any of those things. I just think it was an old guy fighting a young guy, putting on more of an exhibition than a real fight. There's no doubt who won the fight, Jake Paul. Mike Tyson, I think at times had a chance to go after him, but didn't at the same time. Somebody said, Father Time is undefeated. There's no doubt about that.
Tyson showing his age, not moving as fluid as he did decades ago, landing only 19% of his punches.
Father Time is unbeaten for a reason.
Originally scheduled as an exhibition, it became a sanctioned pro fight with modifications, shorter rounds and heavier gloves, lessening the power of the punches. Dramatics before the bout, from Tyson's slap during weigh-in to Paul's ear covering, mocking Tyson's infamous ear biting of Evander Holyfield.
Which was kind of funny. I thought, he's a great troll, by the way. If you don't know anything about Jake Paul, they call him the problem child. He is an absolute troll number one. The biggest issue was the issue that Netflix was not set up for any of this. They were not set up for any of it. 60 million plus people were watching. And you would have thought, Bell and I were talking about this before this, you would have thought there would have been somebody in the room going, all right, let's just say we get 50 million. Are we set up for this? And nobody said anything. Nobody goes, yeah, we're set up for it. Instead, it went to hell and fell apart. And the pinwheel of death happened over and over. Then you had people going in what? Streaming other people that were at the place, live streaming it because they couldn't get on and watch.
Yeah, that was something I had mentioned to you before we went on air. They're a streaming service.
Yeah. And
for them to fail at that level is just stunning.
You get one chance to make that first impression.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't like Joe Rogan, like several comics have done some live stuff on Netflix, but that's not immediate, where if you missed it yesterday, you can watch it tomorrow. It's a joke. You're going to be fine. This was not that. This was live. And as we talked about, sports is the future of live television. They battle over sports when it comes to who's got the NFL. Who's the number one show in America? The National Football League. It's not even close. Go look at you go look at the 10 biggest shows at the end of this year. It will be all of them. The Super Bowl, the AFC and NFC championship games, the halftime show. Those things are the biggest things. Live sports, because nobody wants to watch a delayed sport event. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, my kids are always amazed at this. I remember when the Houston Rockets beat the Lakers way back in the day when they had Samson and early Elijah wanted to go to the championships. I used to laugh because I watched that tape delay at night because they didn't have it live for us. They didn't. Everything's live now, and it's 24/7, and we can always get it whenever we want. So they weren't prepared for it, and you've got games coming up. You better damn well be prepared. Nobody wants to watch their playoff sports on some sort of weird delay where you're finding out minutes later because everybody's had to go to Twitter to find out what's happening.
Netflix is just getting started with live sporting events. They have 2 NFL games on Christmas. There were buffering issues, streaming issues throughout the night with everybody watching. So it looks like some issues have to be worked on in the next month.
I would say that.
What kills me, too, is that they knew going in that this was going to be kind of a cultural touchstone. You have one of the greatest boxers of all time, if not arguably the greatest, going up against somebody who is very much in vogue and can pull lots of clicks and viewers now. And they acted like it was just going to be another day at the office. And, this was people that never watched boxing tuned into this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like boxing, but I've stopped watching it a long time ago just because I felt like it was ridiculous. I think some of I think we can all agree with some of the, even this one had a controversy because the women's fight before, which is one of the best fights I have ever seen, one of them was robbed. I mean, it felt like somebody got paid off. It was that, and that's what frustrated people, as according, to many boxing people over the last 3 decades. There's always been a rob here and a rob there, but it just felt like there was way too many of them. And then the next night, you got Donald Trump going to the UFC, which is where everybody's gone to now. Because the UFC is, for the most part, is social media, is the media world. And boxing has kind of become old schools, newspapers. It's old school fighting comparatively to the new school. And watching John Jones, by the way, who with his spinning back kick and he easily won, and then comes out and does the Trump, which is hilarious, the dance, which was everywhere. If you watched any football this weekend, there was at least 1 or 2 celebrations on every field where they did the Trump dance, which, quite frankly, shows a lot. A lot of stuff to get to. My name is Chad Benson. I'm in for Matt Murphy, who will be in for Brian Wilson. Matt will be in here a little bit later, as you guys know. We're just getting started. Talk a little bit about immigration, talk a little bit about some of Trump's picks. We got some other stuff as well that's going to be fun. And yes, some Ukraine stuff. What does it mean? All of these weapons, what does it mean? Well, we're going to discuss what's it mean, and we're going to be talking UFOs. Bell, who do we have coming on a little bit later talk UFOs with us?
We have Representative Tim Burchett, who covers like the Knoxville area. That's his territory.
And he covers space. He's going to come on.
Well, I don't know if we would say space as much as unidentified things in the atmosphere.
He represents them. We're going to talk about that as well. Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7. Oh, man, this holiday season, you could give a crappy tie to your dad or maybe your uncle that you love. You can get him some horrible socks that he doesn't wear. He doesn't even wear socks. Or you can get him the best thing ever. And I'm talking about Omaha Steaks, baby. 5 generations experience delivered the best steak around. 100% unconditional, bite-for-bite, money-back guarantee. And it's so affordable. Perfect gift starting at $89.99. You can save 50% site-wide when you go to omahasteaks.com and use my code Benson. You're going to get a $30 reward card and $30 off with promo code Benson. We're talking about the best steaks, including the classic favorite collection, 22 items, as well as stuff like, how about 18 meatballs that are absolutely delicious? Or my favorite thing, the deluxe gift with free shipping. Burgers galore. Absolutely incredible. 26 total items and 2 5-ounce butcher-cut top sirloins ready for you. We've already gone through our giant, huge, we got a whole bunch of it sent to us, and my wife ordered some, and we already ate through it because my daughter loves her hot dogs. We got a special package just for her. Visit omahasteaks.com. You're going to save 50% right now, site-wide, plus my listeners right now. Extra $30 off, promo code Benson, and a $30 reward card when you order. So you're saving an extra $30. It's 50% off, and you get a $30 reward card when you shop early. It's 50% off, omahasteaks.com, extra $30 off, promo code Benson. Minimum purchase may apply.
US officials saying a major factor in the shift in policy, the arrival of 10,000 North Korean troops in Russia, many expected to fight alongside the Russians to regain land in the Kursk region. President Zelensky saying the missiles will speak for themselves, without a doubt. This as Russia launched one of its largest attacks against Ukraine this year, unleashing more than 200 drones and missiles across the country Sunday.
It's all about bargaining. When you hear all this stuff, everybody's like, it's World War III. He came out and he said he's not going to do anything. You know, we've got to stop allowing people to draw red lines when they're not going to do a damn thing. By the way, what are you going to do? Honestly, are you willing to end everything over Ukraine? No, you want a way out. Trump is going to offer you that way out. And Zelensky and Putin now are going to spend the next 45 days bombing each other, trying to grab every last bit of land they can possibly grab. They're going to spend the last, God knows, I mean, everything they've got that isn't nuclear is going to be fired. And yeah, you know, there's North Koreans. They're cannon fodder. You guys are there to die. You're not there for anything other than that. You're there to get blown up. You're there to get shot at. You're there to try to kill as many. And then when all is said and done, they're going to yell, stop. And then everybody's going to look around. Okay, what now? Okay, who's got what? You guys got some of the Donbass region, some of that area? You're going to keep that? You're going to keep Crimea, which you already took like 13 years ago? And then that's that. And everybody's going to go back. And Putin could come back and go, look at me, I won big race, and I did all the stuff I did. I crushed souls. Ha, 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 ha. Look at this. Nobody messed with the great giant Russia. And Zelensky's be like, I can't believe we got all the great stuff for us. Yes, we won. Everybody gets to go home a hero. That's what's going to happen. And then the eyes of the world will head over to Gaza, to Iran, and that's that. And we'll tell Putin, don't do anything, right? If you attack Ukraine from now, we're not going to let them be NATO. We're not going to let them, you know, if you want to be part of Europe, that's a European thing. Let them do it. But they're not going to be part of NATO. We're not going to put any missiles in there. We give you our assurance, at least on our watch. Now, that being said, if you decide to get froggy again and make a leap, we're going to treat them like they're a state. So you just invaded a state. And I will never do that. I will never. It's not what I want to do. You know, he'll go through the whole, and that'll be that. And then over to the place where it has the potential of getting very ugly. And it's already extremely ugly, but a chance to really explode throughout the region with Iran. And we'll see what happens there. So this whole thing's going to be very interesting going forward. And God willing, cooler, calmer heads will prevail. And I think that's oddly enough, with Russia and with Zelensky in Ukraine, I think that's cooler, calmer heads. I have no idea what's going to happen in Gaza. I have no idea what's going to happen throughout there. I don't think anybody does. Because no matter what any of us do, no matter how hard we try for diplomacy, no matter how we push for something, it's really going to be up to Khomeini and Iran on where everybody goes from here. So very interesting indeed. Oh, my goodness. A lot of stuff still to talk to. Is the show over? When do we talk aliens, man? That's all I care about is aliens. I'm excited for the aliens. I don't think anybody realizes. My name's Chad Benson. Those guys, right? Those guys are here. We know they're here. I'm excited for them to be here. How close are we to really finding out? And I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask the rep. I'm going to say, hey, what is everybody afraid of? Because I think it's important. We'll talk about that, a lot of other stuff. Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. This is Super Talk 99.7. Chad Benson and for Matt Murphy. He'll be here later for Brian. Will he shut down agencies? Who is he? Well, Vivek, Elon. Can Trump and them actually do it? That's a great question. There's going to have to be some definitely some workarounds. But man, I would love to see it. And not because I think all of these agencies are not needed. You know, it's. I was talking to Paul Wiegler the other day. We were chatting about the fact that everybody thinks that everybody who's somewhat conservative or they want to have no regulations. It's not no regulations. It's moderation. It's about regulations that are real, not punishing. That's what it is. It's about, you know, I was joking earlier. We're not even joking. So this weekend, the fights, not the fight that took place Friday night, that was, but the UFC, Jim Miller won his 27th fight, and he goes up there. What does he say? I did this for Peanut, the squirrel. He did it for Peanut the squirrel. But he talked about the ridiculousness. Wasn't there a better way to use money? Wasn't there a better way to do things? Yeah, I think there is. I think we all recognize that. There's a better way. We've got to get some of this stuff because there is nothing. You know, when everybody talks about the deep state, there's always this, you know, this evil thought of this. It's not. It's bureaucracy. It's absolute bureaucracy. Where is the money? I think we have a right to know where some of this money is gone. And I'm not just talking about when everybody talks about we just hand all this cash to Ukraine. You guys do realize we give them very little cash. The vast majority of that money just goes to massive corporations, the Raytheons of the world and all this. So they just have a credit card with unlimited access and they just swipe it and we send them some new stuff. So it's jobs, 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 and it's big donors, things like that. But how about the overlapping agencies? How about stuff like that? How about getting rid of the crazy amount of bureaucracy? I'm all for that, Vivek.
Are you expecting to close down entire agencies like President Trump has talked about the Department of Education, for example? Are you going to be closing down departments?
We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. So, yes, we expect all of the above. And I think people will be surprised by, I think, how quickly we're able to move with some of those changes, given the legal backdrop the Supreme Court has given us.
Yeah, and there's that. And I remember OAC, on approved credit, no, AOC, she was grilling, I think it was somebody from Boeing. It was like 3-4 years ago. But she asked them about a part. She says, what does this part cost of what the part new? And it was some ridiculous, like $10. What do you charge the government? Like, you know, 18,000 gazillion dollars. The amount of ridiculous waste. And people see government contracts, they get smiles in their eyes. I mean, smiles in their pocketbook. Their eyes, they go way bigger. Their smiles like the Cheshire Cat because they know it's unlimited funds. We're going to get all the money we need. We don't have to worry about a damn thing. We're going to have all the money we need, and we know that the government isn't going to bounce a check to us, and we can basically write whatever we want down, and they're going to pay it. And there's going to be zero accountability, even if we're not good at this job. It doesn't matter. It's the government. Zero accountability. This is Jon Stewart talking to Kathleen Hitz of the Department of Defense. She's one of the secretaries there, talking to her about, you know, hey, is there, you guys, yeah, what about waste? You guys ever have any waste? How about audits? How about, do we know where any of this money goes?
There is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse within a system.
Audits and waste, fraud, and abuse are not the same thing. So let's decompose these pieces.
Please educate me on
sure.
What
so an audit is exactly what you just described, yes. Which is, do I know what was delivered to which place?
Right.
The ability to pass an audit or the fact that the DOD has not passed an audit is not suggestive of waste, fraud, and abuse.
So what is
now it's a question of it's suggestive that we don't have an accurate inventory that we can pull up of what we have where.
In my world, that's waste.
How is that waste?
If I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that to me is wasteful.
Anybody else find that wasteful? Because I sure the hell do. So wait a minute. We gave you a bunch of money and you audited it and it's gone. So you're like, okay, it's gone. It's been spent. Where is it? I don't know. Whoa. What do you mean? Well, that's not abuse. That's not what. No, that is exactly what it is. You should know where it is. You should know where every penny's going. And this is the government right here that has wasted so much money. We're always talking about how much we're in debt, how the deficit's huge, the debt is huge. We're falling behind. We're doing, yeah. I get it. Have you guys thought about maybe asking everybody where the money went? So know this in government. If you do not spend the money that you have, so let's say your agency, right, the Widget for America agency, and you guys have widgets that you monitor and you protect. Those widgets, right, you're given $1 billion, but your agency only spent $780 million. Well, what are you going to do next year? You're going to get 780. So you better spend $1.1 billion because you're going to have to go ask for more. Because otherwise, what you don't spend, they will take back and they'll put it elsewhere. So spending is the sport in D.C.
But if you can't tell me where it went, then what am I supposed to think? I'm not saying this is on you and that you caused this, but I think it's a tough argument to make that an $850 billion budget to an organization that can't pass an audit and tell you where that money went, I think most people would consider that somewhere in the realm of waste, fraud, or abuse, because they would wonder why that money isn't well accounted for, especially when they see food insecurity on military bases.
Yeah. We know we're not giving it to our men and women who are fighting for us. We know we're not doing any of that. We know that there are vets out there who are struggling just to find a place to lay their head every single night. We know all of the money that's going across the globe to help other people, and God bless them. We wish we could save everybody, but we can't. And yet, at the same time, we manage to spend ungodly amounts of money on the dumbest things in the world. All we're asking for is a little accountability. We're not asking for a ton. We're not asking for every single penny to be accounted for, because that's just never going to happen. And some programs, well, they're not going to work the way that we think. And there is going to be some issues, but doesn't mean those programs need to be thrown away. But we should have at least an idea of where this money is going and who it's going for and what is happening. But I bet you everybody knows where their paycheck comes from that works for these agencies.
We got out of 20 years of war, and the Pentagon got a $50 billion raise. That's shocking to me. Now, I may not understand exactly the ins and outs, the incredible magic of an audit, but I'm a human being who lives on the earth and can't figure out how $850 billion to a department means that the rank and file still have to be on food stamps. Like, to me, that's corruption. I'm sorry. And
yeah, how do you argue with that? You just can't. There's no arguing with that. It is corruption. It is, and it's always other people's money. OPM. If it's not my money, how it's spent, I don't care. If I go to the casino with you and I hand you a $100 bill, tell you, go gamble this, have fun with it, don't worry about it. You're going to gamble it in a much different way than if it's your $100 bill. The biggest lobbyist to our government is our government employees. They want to keep their livelihood. That is understandable. Zero accountability, zero efficiency. And when I talk to people who are worried about the DOGE or whatever, they get all up, why don't you want something more efficient? Why don't you want something where people are held accountable like you would in the private sector? When I was a kid growing up, you took a government job, it paid less, but the perks were great. Chances of you getting fired were slim to none. You got a pension, right? The bennies were nice. You got all these holidays off, but you weren't getting paid what you were getting paid in the private sector. Now you're getting paid far more, and you have all the other things with zero accountability.
if that blows your mind, and if you think like that's like a crazy agenda for me to have, I really think that that's institutional thinking, and that it's not looking at the day-to-day reality of the people that you call the greatest fighting force in the world. So I get back to this idea of like, I'm not looking to pick a fight with you, but I am surprised at that the reaction to these questions are, you don't know what an audit is, bucko. Like, that's just weird to me.
Okay.
That's them pushing back because they have to answer questions that are real. And I have a feeling when this group of people gets in here, whoever it ends up actually being, the nuts and bolts of it. They're going to find a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of stuff that was wasted because there's so much money available and you've got to spend it. That's government's thing is we've got to spend the money. It's a must because if we don't spend it, then what is it needed for? So you spend the hell out of it. That includes every agency, every little program, every grant you can hand out. You spend and you spend and you spend. Then you come back and go, I don't got any money. I need more money. You only gave me $1 billion and I need 1.4. And then they give you 1.4. And then you go what? You spend 1.5 and I need another 1.6. And you keep doing it over and over and over again because that's what they do. Because otherwise you don't get it. And that happens at the state level, the city level, the county level, all the way up. When's the last time they come in and go, hey, this is crazy. You guys gave us $1 billion. We only spent $600 million. And on top of that, we cut some stuff out that wasn't working. Never. Nothing ever sunsets except something that may benefit you. They love to do that. They do. My name's Chad Benson. I am in for Matt, who will be here a little bit later as we delve through the news of the day. Several of you have hit me up about the fight. You think it was a scam, and it was. I don't think it was a scam in the. Let's be real. If he would have connected with Tyson, and Tyson went down, what's he going to do? He's 58. I do wonder why you would want to fight a 58-year-old. And by the way, the memes this weekend are spectacular. Of all of the people that you think are going to fight Logan Paul now, which are like, Jake Paul now. Is it going to be Chuck Norris, right? Are they going to dig up Bruce Lee? You know, everybody's looking for the old guy to fight. Look, I think that, he's 58. I was saying this weekend to my wife, I play indoor soccer, and I like it. I played soccer when I was younger at a high level. Was able to go to Europe and play. I was very blessed. Here's the thing. I don't want to chase a 21-year-old around because I'm not going to catch him. I don't want to chase even a 25-year-old around. The fact that Tyson got fit and he went and he did it, fantastic. But it wasn't, I don't think it was as much a sham as people think it was, but I definitely think there was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of thing. On the other side of it, Trump this weekend decided to go to the UFC. And boy, is he loved.
And ladies and gentlemen, look who is now making his way to the world-famous octagon, flanked by UFC CEO Dana White, 45, soon to be 47, President-elect Donald Trump.
Place went nuts, which made me laugh. And that's the wheelhouse right there. That is the wheelhouse of Trump. And John Jones, who won, gave Trump a big shout out as well.
I also want to say a big, big thank you to President Donald Trump for being here tonight.
Know your audience. He knows his audience. And his audience is young men in particular who are pissed and angry, a little disenfranchised, enjoy watching the battle sports, and went and saw that. And much, much, much better run, than the chaos and craziness that was what took place on a Friday night. A lot of stuff still to get to. You can tweet at me at Chad Benson Show, so ChadBenson. I do love hearing from you. Several of you reached out to me over the last couple days. Brian, again, is off Mondays and Fridays. So you've got me in for Matt Monday and Friday, and then you've got Matt in for Brian Monday and Friday. We still have a ton of stuff to get to, some wacky stuff. And next hour, we're talking aliens. I'm pumped about aliens. Some people are like, you can't believe in aliens. Why can't you believe in aliens? Damn it. The hubris to think we're it is ridiculous. So be prepared for that, because that's what we do here. We do everything. Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Go there now and get yourself free Rough Greens. What's Rough Greens, Chad? Tell me about this. If you love your animals like I love my animals, you want to make sure they're healthy and happy, and Rough Greens delivers the most amazing thing. It is a supplement full of enzymes, fruits, vegetables, all this amazing stuff. Dog food, cat food is dead food. It's not good for your animal the way it is. Even when you get fresh stuff, you think it is. At the minute you think it's fresh, it's not as fresh as you think it is. This has living enzymes in it. You sprinkle this on top of your animal's food, you watch what happens, whether it's your cat or your dog. It is absolutely incredible. I want you to try a Jumpstart trial bag for free. It's a $20 value. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. That's it. It's a few bucks. You can do this by going to roughgreens.com, use code CHAD. Roughgreens.com, use code CHAD. You can pick Meow Greens for your cat or Rough Greens for your dog. $20 value. You cover the cost of shipping. They send it to you for free. Roughgreens.com, use code CHAD.
President Joe Biden making his first comment since giving the go-ahead for Ukraine using U.S.-made missiles inside Russia. And we'll have today's Midday Money News. That's coming up at 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
On some of the calls, prosecutors say Combs is explicit about his intention to use public statements to sway potential jurors, including this Instagram post by Diddy's kids.
Happy birthday to Daddy.
Prosecutors say Combs enlisted family members to plan and execute a social media campaign around the defendant's birthday. Combs has been held since his September arrest on racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. He's pleaded not guilty.
Yeah, he's never getting out, nor should he. He makes R. Kelly look like he didn't do anything. I mean, this guy is the stuff that is coming out and is going to come out. And there is a big lawyer in Houston who is representing, I don't even know how many. When last I checked, it was well into the hundreds of people. And he said last week, and this is not these are only the civil cases. This is not the other cases that are going to come, the racketeering and the conspiracy. By the way, there's going to be more charges filed at some point because you can't racketeer on your own. I can't conspire on my own. Hey, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to do it. We should totally. No, you can't do that. So there will be more. But the amount of people, he had 3,500 people call in, some of them witnesses. He's got 100 full-time staff members who are only vetting these people. But he said the other day, I think his name's Tony Bisbee. He said, Bisbee. He said, all the other stars out there, you better start paying up or else. And you know Diddy has got camera footage of everybody, digital copies everywhere of everybody out there, telling them you better figure out how to not only pay up, but get people to shut up. Because otherwise, if I'm going down, you're going down with me. But he's never going to see the light of day again, nor should he, unless he's got some on the judge or whoever's looking over it. Because you're not doing the things that you did and filming those things unless your goal was to have the greatest weird movies ever. No, it's to have power over people. It wasn't to have fond memories of a night that everybody was drugged up. So how long do you think he has in jail? How long do you think he has? You think he's got, what, couple months until somebody pays him a visit on accident one night?
Well, he's in solitary, isn't he? So he's probably...
So was Epstein.
Well, that's a good point.
Just putting it out there that it may not be that long. Because other powerful people also know they're on their videos. All right, my name's Chad Benson. I am in for Matt Murphy. He'll be in for Brian Wilson. He'll be here a little bit later. This is the Matt Murphy Show right now featuring Chad Benson right here on Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It is 1 p.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We will get you a complete weather forecast here in mere minutes. President Joe Biden at the G20 summit in Rio blasted Russia as he made his first comment since okaying Ukraine to use American-made long-range missiles inside Russia. The president saying the U.S. strongly supports Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
While Vladimir Putin is not here at the G20, Russia is a member, and his foreign ministry leader, Sergei Lavrov, was in attendance during those remarks. Biden specifically blaming Russia for their invasion, which he says led to the highest record prices for food in all of history. That as today, there's a high focus at the G20 on poverty and world hunger.
That is Alex Prescia reporting. Now let's turn to today's Midday Money News with Jim Ryan.
Stocks have opened higher to start the week. The Dow this morning was up 56 points, while the S&P had gained 0.6%. The Nasdaq was up 1%. The other shoe has dropped at Spirit Airlines. The budget carrier filed for bankruptcy protection before dawn today. A judge blocked Spirit's merger with rival JetBlue Airways in January, compounding its financial problems. The company behind TikTok may be worth about $300 billion. At least that's the value ByteDance is putting on itself, according to internal documents obtained by Reuters. The Chinese-based company is still facing a January 19th deadline to sell TikTok or to face a ban in the U.S. McDonald's is set to spend about $100 million to try to lure back people after the E. coli outbreak blamed on onions on the Quarter Pounder. $65 million of that will go to franchises in the hardest-hit states, Colorado, Montana, and Nebraska.
Now let's take a look at the markets. The Dow down 88, the S&P 500 is up 20, and the Nasdaq up 107. That is the latest news. Weather's on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Will there be mass deportations? Will there be people being rounded up like cattle? Depends who you talk to. Do I think that? No. But do I think there will be deportations? Absolutely.
Donald Trump, we know, has said he is going to carry out these mass deportations. Overnight, he reposted something on Truth Social saying it is true that he is considering declaring a national emergency, using the National Guard and the military to carry through with this plan. But we still don't know exactly what that would look like. Just that this has really been a cornerstone in many ways of Donald Trump's immigration plan. But the devil always in the details. How do you go about doing something that is going to be so difficult logistically and so expensive?
That's the other side of it. How do you do it? It'd be tough. First of all, how many people are here? God only knows. There's going to be a lot of self-deportations. People already taking themselves out. I've seen a ton of that. People already heading back. On top of that, a lot of these people, while they've abused the system, they're officially in the country legally. So you're really going to be going after the gotaways and the people who've committed crimes. Because anybody else who's got a case that's to be adjudicated, they're not going anywhere. They're not, because they've got the right at this moment in time to be here. Now, once they've got the orders, see, this is the big thing. Once they have the orders of removal, meaning they've been there, they've been adjudicated, they went before a judge and they said, for whatever reason, I'm here. And the judge says, yeah, according to the rules and the regulations that we've put in when it comes to asylum, you do not qualify for asylum. So you got to go. Now, and this is where it gets, this is where the situation of sanctuary cities comes in and stuff like that. But you got to get out of here. So really, you're going to try to round up the people that have orders to be removed, the people that are here as gotaways. They've tried. They couldn't get on the CB1 app. They did all this stuff. It just didn't work for them, and away they go. They've just said, screw it, I'm coming on in, and they're here. And then, of course, the people that have committed crimes. Now, some of these big cities are going to do everything in their power to make sure that none of that happens. You can't get rid of these people. You can't do any of that stuff. I saw Michelle Wu, who is she's the mayor of Boston. And she's like, we will do everything to protect everybody. And, it's the usual kind of baloney. Ask the people, did you not just see the election? Now, nobody wants everybody to round up people that have been here for 25 years and have been a contributor to society. That's you're going to get some people, yes, I want that absolutely. It's not going to happen. But it's also, we've got to be real about what we can and can't do. But part of that is stopping the flow. And that's where Tom Holman comes in. Because, he is your grandfather that you don't want to go over to his house because he just makes you feel uncomfortable because he never smiles and he scares the crap out of you.
Shock and awe. Shock and awe. You're going to see us take this country back. And look, like I said before, it isn't just about the deportation operation. It isn't just about saving the children. It ain't about securing the border. What's the result? Less overdose deaths, less sex trafficking. For God's sakes, one of the worst crimes around. Less migrants dying. Under this administration, over 4,000 aliens had died crossing that border, an historic record. When President Trump had immigration on 90%, had that border shut down, he saved thousands of lives. So less aliens died, less Americans died.
And having talked to a couple of my buddies who they work in a sector between, essentially the Yuma sector all the way down into parts of Maricopa. But that Yuma sector in and around where I am, they said, look, the summertime, there's a natural way that things go in the way that people migrate here, which is when it gets to, because you're crossing, I've not been here through a summer, and everybody talks about, well, you got to understand the humidity. Well, yeah, I've lived in Europe, and, we had really nasty humidity in Germany and places like that. I get humidity, but you got to go through it. It's the same thing with the desert. You have no idea what 120 degrees is like. And then you realize the ground's 150 and you're walking God knows how many miles. You don't know what it's like until you've been there. And these people are dying. And most of my friends who I played pickleball a ton of times with out there and I got to know really well, not only from being on my show, but all this stuff. It eats at your soul when you see little kids and family members who have died clutching their kids and stuff because the weather, the terrain, nature got to them. And it is horrific. It is. But that's what people are willing to do. That is absolutely what people are willing to do to get here. So is that going to stem the tide? No. Because if I was on the other side of it, or you were, You would do everything in your power to get to the land of the golden goose. You would do everything in your power to get here because the opportunity to have a life and to set your kids up in a way that you never had is real. But you're going to rethink it in ways. And in mass, you're going to rethink it. And you're going to have to figure out other things. But the way that it used to work is summertime, things slowed down. Under Biden, for the most part, it never slowed down. It was just go, go, go. And then when they were thinking of getting rid of that Title 13, the whole COVID thing, that saw people really make a run for it in times when they normally wouldn't because of the fear factor of the program running out and it being back to a program that was similar to what Trump has, which is what you're supposed to do when you apply for asylum. If you're running from another country, say Venezuela, and you get to wherever you get to, you get on a plane and you happen to get from Venezuela to, Guyana or wherever, you're supposed to apply for asylum there. You're not supposed to come here. But that's what everybody does.
Wages will increase because you're not going to have all that illegal labor working for pennies on a dollar up here. Alien crime, you're going to see that reduced significantly. As far as Trinidad, Agua, and MS-13, a notice to you, my gang's bigger than your gang, and we're going to take you out too. I'm excited about coming back, serving this country again. My wife said, if you don't go back, we're going to get divorced because I'm sick and tired of you waking up every day pissed off about you not being able to do anything.
Amen, sir. And the whole Trente Agua, we talked about it last week. They're here in Nashville. They're in Memphis. They're not quite in Knoxville yet. But this is a real gang that means to do real business. And their business is drugs and the transportation of human beings as a commodity. And that is sick and disgusting. And the people that pay the biggest price, and this is when I hear, when I see people talk about this who are, totally fine with open borders and stuff like that. The people who pay the biggest price aren't you and I, right? They're not. They're not Cracker McCrackerson, and they're not us, right? They're not they're not American-born citizens. They're not citizens of this country. You know who pays the price? People that have come here, even if they've come here through the asylum process and they've been paroled into the country because they're terrified to call the police. They're frightened to death. They do not want any kind of heat on them that they feel will bring the spotlight, and that spotlight may cause them to, in their mind, piss off a judge or America, will send them home sooner. So those people, Trente Agua, the cartels, they have a captured audience that they can abuse time and time again, and they do, without the fear of anybody calling police. Without the fear. I mean, the only reason we found out about Aurora is because there was like a Ring doorbell. But if you were an American citizen, right, you don't have anything to worry about. They're not coming to come for you because they know if they come for you, it brings heat on them. So they weren't going to do that. So we'll see. But on the other side of it, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I've got some Latin in me. Oh, you say shit? Oh, I do. And I'll tell you why. Because my grandfather was born and raised in Mexico. Jesus passed away a few years ago. My grandfather was the staunchest supporter of, first of all, Donald Trump, is what he called him. I love Donald Trump. He would say that, oh, I love him today, Donald Trump. He loved the Doyers and Donald Trump. But he would talk about the fact that he did it right. My grandfather became a citizen like 20 years ago. But he was here on a green card. He owned homes. He owned successful businesses. He built this thing up. It was amazing. But it took him forever to become a citizen. He did it right. And when he sees people coming in, he used to piss him off more than anything. We should be on a wall. He would say that all the time. Latino voters, Hispanic voters. By the way, they're not a monolith, as everybody likes to think they are. They're just like, we all vote the same way. They're not. They're not. And they prove that. They proved that big time. They went a different direction, which surprised, again, the Democrats, not quite understanding what was going on with that. But one of the big things, there is a county or a city in Texas near the border, 97% Latino, Hispanic, whatever you want to call it. 75% voted for Trump because they saw what's happening to the border and they realized this cannot happen. But they also realized, too, these people are coming here, cheap labor, going to take my jobs. They're going to be fighting for the same jobs we're fighting for, and they are frustrated. They're sick and tired of it. And yet, at the same time, I'm always surprised. Jake Tapper talking to Ruma Gallego about this kind of stuff, who is now going to be senator of Arizona, about this Latino voter. How did they miss?
Let's talk about the Latino vote. Donald Trump didn't win the Latino vote, but he did better than any Republican presidential candidate in history. And 55% of Latino men voted for him. It's a 19-point swing from 4 years ago. You say that Democrats need to, quote, go touch grass and meet real Latinos. What do you mean by that?
I think Democrats a lot of times surround ourselves with people that will affirm what we already believe. People from our same backgrounds, right? And so you have a lot of Ivy League candidates that hire Ivy League Latinos that don't actually come from a working class background. And most Latinos are actually working class.
Exactly. And by the way, most Latinos, I know it's stereotypical, Catholic. Guess what they are? Little conservative in a lot of their social views. But what was the number one thing? I saw this great thing, and I have it. I didn't bring it. Maybe I'll bring it on Friday just to play it because it's worth it. He is here illegally. His 2 kids are born and raised here. He pushed for Donald Trump because he cares about the economy more than anything else. And is he worried a bit about being deported? He is. That being said, he worries about the economy because he worries about his kids. Crazy.
You know, we knew that something was bad with the Latino community when it comes to their opinion of the economy.
Yeah.
Because I'm very much connected to it. I think a lot of politicians didn't want to hear what was actually happening out there. And the reason we were successful is because we heard about it and we moved early on it. My first campaign commercial was about the economy in Spanish and also on the border. Our first commercial was about immigration and more border security in Spanish because we heard about it earlier. I think there's a lot of people in D.C. that didn't want to hear what was happening out there because it would go against some of their, some of the stuff they had learned in the past.
And it would go against what they think they believe. See, what you have is you have Latino kids, Mexican, Venezuelan, whatever you want to call, whatever, Honduran, Guatemalan, right? Like, we want to put them all into they're Latino, they're Latinx, they're none of those things. They're whoever they are and wherever they're from. But you have that second generation and third generation that's in college now being indoctrinated, becoming a little bit more activist. But mom and dad, who vote consistently, they didn't come to this country for insanity. They came for this country for opportunity. And they're still who they were. They love America. They see America as really the place to be in the world, because it is. And they recognize that the insanity that the left is pushing isn't what they're about. They're more socially conservative, and it is about the economy, stupid, no matter what language it's in. My name's Chad Benson. I'm in for Matt Murphy. He will be in a little bit later. Bell's looking. What are you looking at, Bell? You got something going on in there. Seems very sneaky. So Matt will be in a little bit later. We're going to be talking. All right, Bell, tell everybody who we're talking to in a little bit.
Congressman Tim Burchett.
That's right. He is representing aliens across the universe, and he will be talking to us here in about 10 minutes or so. Pretty excited about that because we're going to be talking about aliens. Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. Super Talk 99.7. Sports program brought to you by BetterHelp. I'm sorry, I was doing something. I was listening to It's No Fun Being an Illegal Alien, which you could never get away with today. BetterHelp is amazing. And let me tell you what it is. Therapy is a wonderful thing. And I know what some people say, oh my God, therapy, that's not a big bad. It's good to talk to people. And it's good to be grateful. A lot of times we're not grateful for all the things we have. I tell everybody, we live in the greatest country in the world. It's great to be grateful for that. I know when I was a kid and I was going through all my stuff, my dad died, I had an opportunity to sit down with a therapist. I didn't want to do it, but I did. It was great to get things off my chest because I was so mad at my dad on how he died from a drug overdose and all the stuff that happened along the way. Why didn't he love me and my sister as much as he loved drugs? It was a good thing. If you thought about therapy, it's great that we have a chance to do it. And BetterHelp will help you with that. You go on, do it, everything online, right? Simple, easy questionnaire. It's built for your schedule. It is so cool. And you get placed with a licensed therapist after you do the questionnaire. And if you're not happy with the therapist, maybe you guys aren't clicking, you just don't have the time, you can switch it any time with no extra cost or anything. None of that stuff. It's so easy to do. Let's be grateful this month and try some therapy if you feel you need it. It's always good to talk to somebody. Go to BetterHelp.com/Benson. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Benson. Save 10% your first month. BetterHelp.com/Benson.
President-elect Trump, he's doubling down on his campaign promise to deport millions of undocumented immigrants and a fatal weekend shooting at a Hermitage bowling alley. We'll have the latest at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I was laughing before we went to break. That Phil Collins song, It's No Fun Being... Phil Collins, it wasn't Genesis. It's no fun being a legal alien. You could not pull that off today. And it's, if you've never seen the video, too, it is like, I'm surprised they haven't tried to cancel old Phil there, but it's, they couldn't. It's too late. It's too late for that now. And I don't think Phil's well either. But it's a hilarious, it really is. It is absolutely, you know, I mean, you listen to the song, it's no fun being an illegal alien. You're like, oh my God, can you say, he just did. He just did. Social media. It's where everybody is. You know, we were talking earlier about the likes of Morning Joe, and we'll play some of that stuff a little bit later because they're getting blown out by a lot of people in their, you know, in their little world. How dare they go do that? But one of the interesting things is social media is playing a massive role in everything we do. The fight this weekend, social media played a huge role in that. The presidential election, social media played a massive role in that and continues to do so over and over again. And so Pew Research is like, we should probably do a study and find out what the hell's going on.
65% of Americans who get their news mostly from influencers on social media tell the Pew Research Center doing that has helped them better understand current events and civic issues. News influencers with 100,000 followers or more are mostly men, mostly right-leaning, and the vast majority of them, nearly 80%, have no affiliation with any other news organization. 37% of those under age 30 say they're regular users of social media influencer news.
Of course, this is where people go because they feel like they're getting an unbiased look at something, and it's not perfect. People do make mistakes, and and here's the thing: when you don't have, two things here. First, there are people out there that are there to stir the pot. They're not really into doing anything other than growing their social media. We could talk about that. There are also journalists out there who have left the world of what we consider media, like the journalism side, Mark Halpern being one of them, and they've gone out on their own. And, you know, you've got Chris Wallace, who last week left CNN, and he's gone out. He's, I'm going to do a podcast and everything else because that's where everybody's gone to. People are looking for areas that they can, for the most part, personalize their media. That's what they want. They want to personalize their media kind of like you would go get a burger. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, I want you to cook it this way. That's what they're looking for. And it's great. It's not always going to be right. There's no doubt about that. You're going to miss it on a few occasions. No doubt about that. But they make it sound like everybody's just, it's just anybody who's a kook with a phone and an opportunity to talk on whatever is going to grow and it's going to be. No, it's not. There are a lot of people out there who are able to do some really good journalistic work without having to worry about who's paying the bills, without having to worry about, and I'm not talking about, because of course they're worried about money, but who's the sponsor that's going to get mad at me if we do this? There are people out there who don't have to worry about the editor coming in and go, well, I like that person, I want you to take this out. Or no, you're going to get it raw and real. And yes, there's going to be plenty of mistakes, but as adults, you and I, we should be able to make our own choices, which, social media for a while wasn't allowing you to do. They didn't want you to make your own choices. It was based on what they thought was best for you. And social media is going to play a much bigger role going forward. The years and the century of, these are the establishment, this is who you go to, this is how it's done, that's over now. Independent media is bigger and stronger. And when people talk about, well, media is dead. No, media is not dead. Media is stronger and bigger than ever before. Media, though, isn't what it used to be. The establishment legacy media, they're the ones who better figure out how to pivot. And I don't know if they can. Because one of the things that people out there in that media world don't understand is, for the most part, again, there are people out there that are just there to stir and do horrible things and get likes and clicks and shares. But for the most part, those people out there that are trying to do the work that journalists used to do, they're telling you the truth. They're not out there to spin things in a certain way unless you're going for only that. You go watch Mark Halpern. I tell everybody, go watch Breaking Points, another great show. It gives you both the right and left perspective. You know what you're getting from them, though. Where the other ones, they want to come across as the authority with only one side of the story being told. My name's Chad Benson. I'm in for Matt Murphy. Matt will be here at 3 o'clock. I see him in the other room. He's sitting there talking to Bell, who once again found his head, which is bizarre. Coming up, I'm super excited about this. We're going to talk aliens. We're doing that next. Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. It is the Matt Murphy Show. Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It is 1:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A full forecast coming up in just a few minutes. President-elect Trump doubling down on his campaign promise to deport millions of undocumented immigrants in his second term, confirming his intent to declare a national emergency and use the military on Truth Social overnight. That's what he posted there. More from ABC's Karen Travers.
How he plans to pay for this, how this would actually look, how the active duty military would be used, that is not clear, because when he was a candidate, he didn't get into details of how he would enact this very significant campaign promise of his. But with this confirmation on social media, he is showing that it is something he does intend to move forward on.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, the Metro Nashville Police Department investigating a fatal shooting that happened at a bowling alley in Hermitage over the weekend. Officials say a man believed to be a 20-year-old Nashvillian was shot and killed inside the bowling alley after being involved in an altercation with two men from a group, along with another witness, that led to gunshots being fired and sent people running for their lives out of the building. One person was taken into custody by police after the shooting. That's according to dispatch. No word on what happened to that individual. This is a developing story and not much information out there just yet. That is the latest news. Weather's on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Incompetence, ideology, and maybe a conspiracy. That's how Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett
I know they're there. Everybody does too. I'm not playing the game anymore. I want to know about them. Rep. Tim Burchett shows the program right now. All right, Rep. All right, here we go. I know they're out there. I know they are. I know the government's been lying to us. Have you seen the aliens? Because I keep saying you're the one who's going to tell us the truth.
Well, no. My issue, of course, I've seen some things that I can't talk about, but my issue is, of course, it's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about what are we spending tens of millions of dollars on. We've even had testimony said they have craft recovery even, and yet we have some little smart aleck with a man bun come in and tell us that they don't exist, and then we ask him about specific things that are documented. He said, we don't have any data I don't have any data on that. It's constantly just getting the runaround from the federal government. We have Lou Elizondo who came in. He headed up a department that had a budget, I think, of over $10 million at the Pentagon. They said it didn't exist. He literally produced his own check stubs to show that they did exist, or that he did exist in that department. They were studying it. And we've had sworn testimonies say they've recovered crafts, they've recovered other things, yet this is where we're at. We constantly are, one side's telling us one thing and the other's telling us another. And it's very federal government-esque. It's compartmentalized. But again, we're spending all this money on it, and we as Americans deserve to know what the heck's going on. And again, our Pentagon has failed their 7th audit, and they can't account for over $1 trillion in assets. Clearly, they're doing something with that money.
Yeah.
And of course, how do we punish them? We give them a few more $1 billion every year, more than they asked last year. So there is a huge disconnect there. Trump has his people, and I believe they will fix this problem. And then you have Schumer in the Senate wanted this 60-page bill on disclosure, and everybody was freaking out over it that I didn't support it. It was modeled after the Kennedy files, releasing them. And the Kennedy files, we still don't know what happened to John F. Kennedy 60 years later. But, and they're going to put a bunch of unelected, arrogant bureaucrats in charge of of saying what we should not see or should see. And to me, that doesn't work. Just turn it loose and let us make our own decisions.
Absolutely. Talking to Tim Burchett, Rep here, as we talk about the aliens and stuff. I mean, it's fun to talk about, but the reality is I've said this for all along. The amount of money that goes into these things, for people who don't understand, we spend, how many of those just line items say money here, and it's scary where it goes and doesn't go. And I've said all along, if it's little green men or gray men or whatever it is it better than that being our enemies? Because there's way too many things out there that we can't explain. And if it is our enemies, their technology is way more advanced than ours, which should also be scary.
Yeah. And you have almost every major alphabet department, I guess, maybe TVA doesn't, but they've all got a UFO investigative wing. And so whether it be NASA or the CIA or some of these other groups, they've all got a group that investigates this stuff, but yet they tell us they don't exist. And so why are they investigating it? And why won't they release the files? That's the other thing. The files are out there. We've seen them. I went as far as myself, Matt Gaetz, and Anna Paulina Luna. They're both Floridians, went down to Eglin Air Force Base, and we're told that we would get to interview some pilots who'd seen some stuff. Well, we get down there, and they brief us on some pretty secret stuff that's pretty scary, but they didn't brief us on any of the sightings that these pilots had made, and they didn't bring the pilots in. Well, Matt, they told us they weren't going to. We didn't have security clearance, and as members of Congress, we have the security clearance. And so Matt ended up calling the Pentagon, and he And in 1 hour, those pilots had flown in. They came in there in their flight gear and were briefing us on what they'd seen. And what they saw was pretty spectacular. And what we were able to view was pretty spectacular. But my point there is, why are they not releasing this stuff to us?
Do you think it's they don't release it to us? Like, you know, I've always talked about this, Congressman, about the fact that there is this sense that Americans and human race itself couldn't handle something out there, that we would all lose our minds if we found out there was something out there. And I think there is that sense that, you know, maybe that's one of the reasons. The other reason is because I'm sure a lot of it is ours and it is advanced technology. I don't want us to know about that. We should know about that. That should be secretive. But the other stuff, I feel like, okay, we're big boys and girls. We can handle this.
Well, it's not the federal government's right or decision to allow us to do that. Jared Moskowitz, good friend of mine, Democrat, Florida, who's on the committee, he raised that issue and just said, you know, the arrogance of these people thinking that they should decide what we can and cannot handle. That's not their job. And their job has become very secretive. And I think that's why they're all afraid of Trump, because he's going to unleash the whole deal. And it'll be very telling what they come up with, because, you know, I just hope they don't destroy documents and things like that, because there is so much out there. I mean, just the stuff I've seen and it scratches the surface, but it's enough to fill up volumes. And the talk shows will have a field day with it once they get a hold of it.
Yeah, I bet. Talking to Tim Burchett as we talk about all of the aliens and stuff like that. Let's step away from that. But you talk about the money thing, and we talk about the DOGE that's going to come in and do all this stuff. You know, government, and I've said this for a while, Congressman, government is the biggest what? It is the biggest lobbyist of government. These people are terrified they're going to lose their jobs. You talk about the alphabet agencies, and we were talking earlier today. You know this. If they give you $1 billion and you spend $780 million, they're not giving you $1 billion, but you spend $1.5 billion, $500 million more, they'll give you more than that. It's ridiculous that we have zero accountability for where this money goes.
And a lot of these, and I'm glad you brought that up, and a lot of these Pentagon contractors, they go over because it's cost plus. Now, what the DOGE thing is getting ready to do, and when you hear this, I don't know if this has been released or not, act surprised, but main stuff they're going to go after is the stuff that's been in the courts, that's ruled unconstitutional, that unelected bureaucrats are doing, taking it upon themselves. Congress doesn't run government. It's these second or third tier layer bureaucrats that do. And they will be the ones that will get punished for this stuff, because they're the ones that have all the power, and they put out and they decide what's going on, and you never know who they are, and you never hear from them. But dadgummit, they're the ones doing it. And if we could, that's what we got to get at. We got to get at that. And then once we do, I think Congress can just get the heck out of the way. And but I'll warn you about this. Congress doesn't have a lot of guts. Neither party does. And they're going to end up, oh, man, my third cousin works for this place or this agency or whatever, or their wife and or girlfriend has a job through one of these places that lobbies this area of government or something like that, you know, and that's where it's going to get touchy. I was county mayor, Knox County, for 8 years, and we cut everything, and I think we paid off $60 or $70 million, which federal terms is not a lot, but you know, for Knox County, Tennessee, that's a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's like that's 2.5 schools, big schools, and so we. But I tell you what, every cut I made, somebody would come see me, some county commissioner. Hey man, my cousin works, or my, you know, special friend works over there, or something, you know, and it's just and that's the trouble with a lot of these people in government. They all talk the big talk, but when it comes down to making the real cuts, they don't do it.
No,
and that's why the DOGE thing will operate outside of us, and the things that were done by executive order that Trump can cut by executive order.
Yeah, which is important because I've said this for a long time. You know, people talk about the deep state here, deep state. I said the worst thing of all in government, the deep state, is the unelected bureaucrats and officials who don't craft the laws, but yet enforce laws that they kind of make up as fines, make your life miserable in hell, and spend all of your money and ask for more, and you have no way to hold them accountable.
Yep, 100%.
It's nuts.
100%.
It's nuts.
And it's just, you know, and that's been in courts. It's been in the courts, and they have, the courts have thrown a lot of this stuff out as unconstitutional. And I hope we seize upon it. We're going to have one shot at this thing, and dadgummit, if we don't do it, we will have missed an incredible opportunity that probably only comes around once every lifetime.
Hey, what happened to, you know, when I was a kid growing up? I'm 53. I'm not that old, not that young, you know, kind of like you, right? Yeah. What happened to these small government Republicans that now seem to be as populist, kind of big spending as anything else? And I've always said, if you can be, you know, if you can spend the money wisely, government's always going to grow as the people grow, but efficiently, then it's one thing. But I don't see any of that, even from the Republicans.
Well, we don't hold them accountable. Here's what happens. They go home to their Lincoln Day or Reagan Day or MAGA dinners, and they throw out the red meat and a few one-liners, call out a few people in the crowd, that are popular, and you work them into your speech, and everybody cheers, yay. And then they go back to D.C., and they work their little backroom deals, and they trade off, and then they stick it to the taxpayers. That's exactly what happens. And we got to start holding people accountable. It's not the Democrats that I'm aggravated with. It's the dadgum Republicans, man. Yeah. Because we keep electing these people, and then they keep coming back down here. Again, this will be our one shot at it. If we don't, that razor-thin majority we have, we will lose, and we will lose everything. Because the left is the far left, the progressives, whatever you want to call them. They're not. We haven't killed them. I saw somebody say that. They should have known better, and all they've done is they've just retreated to regroup, and that's what they're doing. And they will come back stronger with a better idea and pick at us and pick at where they go, because they'll outlive those old Democrats they're gone, and they will continue to wreak havoc upon us until they turn us into a Marxist state, which is ultimately their goal.
This has always been their goal. Last question here. We got about 30 seconds. Yes or no, do you think there's something else out there and we should be worried about it, or we should be excited about it?
Yes, there is. And no, I don't think we should, because if they would already have done something. I mean, this has been going on too long. The stuff we have and that we know and that I know, it's gone on too long, and that we are, no. Because they would already have done it.
Right on. I appreciate you coming on. Tim Burchett, thank you so very much. Congressman, you have a great day, and watch out for those little green men, but most importantly, watch out for people who want to spend all of our money.
And spend our little green dollars, which are getting smaller and smaller. Thank you, brother.
Have a good one, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yes, sir. See you, bye.
Oh, we'll come back, talk a little bit about this craziness. He thinks there's something out there. I keep saying that too. Bell keeps going, no, there's not. But Bell doesn't know because he's got no head. So how can we trust anything he has to say? It is Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. It is Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Go there now. Get a free bag of Rough Greens. What's Rough Greens, you say to yourself? Well, let me tell you. Rough Greens is this amazing powdered supplement, kind of like you give yourself, right? Like in the morning you wake up, make one of those shakes, but this is for your dog and your cat. It is so awesome. All you do is sprinkle it on top of their food and watch what happens. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, fruits, vegetables, all this incredible stuff, living enzymes that are going to help keep your dog's food or your cat's food alive and well. Bring it to life, give them more energy, help them with skin and their fur, allergies if they had them, help them with their aches and pains in their joints. It is amazing. Now, they believe in this so much. My buddy, Dr. Dennis Black, naturopathic doctor, who formulated this, as I do, that they're going to give you a Jumpstart trial bag, a $20 value, Absolutely free. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. Get your trial bag now. Cover the cost of shipping. It's a few bucks. Go to roughgreens.com. Use the promo code Chad. That's roughgreens.com, promo code Chad. Get your trial bag now. You cover the cost of shipping. A $20 value free. RUFFgreens.com. Go there now. Use promo code Chad.
More news to report on the proposed Secretary of State for the upcoming Trump administration. And is there something as a really free lunch? Well, Tennessee parents of students may soon find out. We'll have those stories at 2 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's never a free lunch. Who thinks that?
Yeah.
I almost got one today, but I forgot to
forgot to text me. That was a you thing, not a me thing. I would have bought you lunch. I said so. Bring in lunch. I get in there. He goes, oh, my God, I forgot to do it. So what do you think, man? You think the congressman just kind of basically said, yeah, there's something out there? I mean, he said it straight out, guys. Am I right?
I love Tim, but it's... If you have politician in your title, there's something wrong with you somewhere in my mind.
Well, I mean, I think that's evident. But there's got to be, right? Like, how can you think we're it? Like, how does anybody, to me, I've always been the hubris of we're it. Like, can't be it, right? There's got to be more. Am I wrong, guys, or am I wrong? Come on. Somebody's got to be out there.
I don't know.
You think it's interdimensional? See, I've always thought that. We think space, like you're coming from a different universe, solar system, whatever. I think it is interdimensional. You're going from, one dimension to the other. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel.
I wasn't buying it when it was singular dimensions.
The other thing is, too, is like his worry of the JFK. The fact that we haven't had the JFK files completely, because anybody who would have been associated that with is dead.
Well, Trump in his first term said he was going to release them until he saw them and then didn't release them.
Well, they begged him not to, because obviously if you're doing that, it's because we probably had far more of a role or knew a lot more than we should have. We did nothing to stop it. So we'll see. I'm Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. A lot of stuff to get to. And the third hour of the fun and frivolity that is the Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy show right here on Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It is 2 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get you a weather forecast here in just a few. As President-elect Trump prepares to move back into the White House, State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says his boss, Anthony Blinken, has already spoken with the man who is looking to take over his job at the end of January.
The secretary phoned Secretary-designate Marco Rubio yesterday to offer his congratulations on his appointment and to pledge to him, as we have said publicly, that we will do everything within our power to make it a successful transition.
Back here in Tennessee, a lawmaker is proposing legislation that would provide free school breakfast and lunch to Tennessee students. Representative Johnny Ray Clemens, he's a Democrat here in Nashville, is the bill's sponsor. Under this bill, the state would reimburse each local education agency for the cost of providing a free breakfast and lunch to each student after all federal funds available through the National School Lunch Program have been used up. And if passed, this bill would go into effect on July 1st of next year and then be applied to the 25-26 school year and every year after that. Finally, now, here's the Midday Money News. Let's check in now with Jim Ryan.
Stocks have opened higher to start the week. The Dow this morning was up 56 points, while the S&P had gained 0.6%. The Nasdaq was up 1%. The other shoe has dropped at Spirit Airlines. The budget carrier filed for bankruptcy protection before dawn today. A judge blocked Spirit's merger with rival JetBlue Airways in January, compounding its financial problems. The company behind TikTok may be worth about $300 billion. At least that's the value ByteDance is putting on itself, according to internal documents obtained by Reuters. The Chinese-based company is still facing a January 19th deadline to sell TikTok or to face a ban in the U.S. McDonald's is set to spend about $100 million to try to lure back people after the E. coli outbreak blamed on onions on the Quarter Pounder. $65 million of that will go to franchises in the hardest hit states, Colorado, Montana, and Nebraska.
Let's check out the stock numbers. The Dow, it's down 68. The S&P 500, it's up 24. And the NASDAQ, it's up as well at 116. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
You guys know what that is? That's hell freezing over. Why? Because Mika Brzezinski, Morning Joe. It's the Morning Joe show, which we know really pisses Bill off because he is not about the patriarchy.
It's ridiculous that she's left out of the title.
She is.
That is pure misogyny.
Pure misogyny. Patriarchy, damn it. It should be the Mika show featuring Joe Scarborough.
No, it should be The Two Idiots.
The Two Idiots is also a name. There's probably a band called that, though. So, but they finally had to go, Joe, we got to do something. And Joe's like, oh, my God, this Trump fellow. We got to go see him at Mar-a-Lago. Oh. And that's what happened, kids. Two people who have, and for those of you guys who don't know anything about Morning Joe, God bless you. I think only people who watch it are Republicans who want to find out what's going on. But all joking aside, it is much like Twitter has an outsized punch and effect on what goes on in society. When it comes to D.C., no matter who's in charge, Morning Joe is kind of, that show's not meant for America, as we all know, but it is for the Beltway. And they absolutely gobble it up. They do. Just like Trump gobbles up Fox, guess what? He's got a little TV over here because Mika and Joe used to be pals. They used to be pals. That wasn't until Matt Gaetz told me you killed somebody, which didn't really happen. But still, that's kind of where this thing got real sideways, besides the stuff that really pissed them off when it comes to Trump. That being said, vowing never to ever talk to him, vowing never to see him, vowing never ever to be a part of what it is that Trump is about, they finally had to suck it up, Buttercup, and hell froze over.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself.
Donald, you want to speak with Donald Trump? Donald Trump, the president-elect, the guy you guys can't say. I just want to make sure that's who you're talking to. Mika, one of the idiots of the two idiots.
On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Holy
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
But you went there, and Trump loves that. He loves the game. He loves to get people to go from hating him to liking him, from hating him to at least having to have a conversation with him. You know, like the J.D. Vance thing, you know, he's America's Hitler and all this kind of stuff. That was before he had a chance to meet him. He met him. Things change. You don't, you know, what your perception is of somebody until you actually meet them. The problem is we have this thing psychologically that we get something in our head the first time. And it doesn't have to be about people. It can be about anything. And we believe that to be true. Even if back in our mind, the recess is way back there. We're like, it's not true. But it's still in our brain that it is. Now, they've known Donald for a long time, and they had to suck it up. And partly because they're looking at the world changing, and they're also trying to figure out how in the hell did we get it all wrong? But we got to do something different because this is the president of the United States, soon to be. He's president-elect, but he has been the president. So we got to have a conversation, right? Because we don't want to cut him out because he's pretty much what our damn show is.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues.
Now, do I think he's going to find all kinds of common ground? No, because he feels he's got a mandate. He's going to have to go in and do certain things. But do I think that they will find some common ground? I think we'd be surprised that there probably is. Because as much as Trump is, quote unquote, a Republican, and he's really not, he's not a conservative, Trump is a populist. Right? The MAGA, the movement, the whole nine yards. He's a populist more than he is anything else. Hence the reason why he got so many of the people who normally Republicans didn't get in the past. Union members, right? The run-of-the-mill kind of worker that they were fighting for, that it was always seemed to be big business and all of this stuff. Well, Trump got a lot of those because of that populism. And they want to know what is the appeal. They know what the appeal is. This isn't about what the appeal is or isn't. The reality is they know what it is. This was about going there and trying to figure out, all right, is there a way that we can work together? Because we're still going to blast and we have a chance. And Trump recognizes that. Again, we've talked about it. If you're new here, I'm filling in right now for Matt Murphy, who's filling in for Brian, as Brian gets set to retire on Christmas Eve. And so Mondays and Fridays, you're stuck with me for a while. But I will tell you this right now. And I do a national show. I've said this for a very long time. Trump, first of all, he wants to be loved. And he wants to be loved by an odd set of people that are these weird kind of academic, very much she people. I call them old money of the Washington Post and New York Times and stuff like that. There's that sense that he wants to be loved like that. But Trump understands the game. He's fine being a villain. He's fine being the heel, right? Like this weekend, there was a fight. Jake Paul was fine being the heel. He was fine being the worst type of person for everybody because he knows it sells tickets. Trump's okay with being the Joker. He's okay with that. He's okay with being that kind of villain because he's selling whatever it is he's selling at the time. And right now, he's selling a new brand of populism, conservatism to the American people.
And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
The fact that you wouldn't want to speak to the president-elect because you have some sort of bizarre grudge and that you wouldn't want to take on a conversation with the president-elect if you've got some things that you would like to talk about and you're getting the opportunity. Think about this for a second. Do you think if, I don't know, let's say Kilmeade, Ducey, and, Greg Gutfeld wanted to go, I don't know what people saw with Biden or whatever, and Biden invites them over to the White House or to Delaware, wherever the hell he happens to be that day vacationing, and says, all right, let's talk about stuff. That would never happen. Trump understands. He reads the people. He gets it. He gets where this is going, and he knows these people are going to be people that are battling him along the way, but he also knows it's good for business and getting the message out. And it also knows he gets that it's going to cause a bit of a ripple effect within this liberal sphere, which it already is, and we'll get that in a little bit. And that causes them to second guess. And because there's a group of people, and we were talking to Tim Burchett last hour, talking about those progressives. They're not going anywhere. They're going to go regroup. They're going to come back. It's the Democrats and progressives that are going to fight over something like this. Because, by the way, Trump stole a bit of Bernie with this populism, this progressivism, as far as this whole like, hey, you know what? No tax on this, no tax on that. Let's do this. That working man kind of thing that the progressives owned. Trump took it and made it better, put his own spin on it.
5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
And that's got to just eat them up inside. Steals their soul. No, it's stealing my soul. It's not about kissing the ring. Trump understands the game that's being played. We're enemies in many ways. I bet you they laughed a little bit. I bet you they buried a few hatchets and they moved on. But they went there. And kudos to them for doing so, right? You can have a disdain for their show all you want and stuff, but kudos for them for going, all right, we're going to have to do something else. And that had to be a weird conversation, right? With Mika and, Morning Joe Scarborough, where he's like, we should probably go talk to this guy. And she's like, I don't want to go talk to him. He's mean. And everybody thinks your dad was a horrible person too, Mika. So, but we're still going to go and talk. If you guys don't know, her dad was a big diplomat and whatnot. So they did it, though. And I find the whole thing fascinating in this time of people trying to figure out where their place is, especially big news outlets. I'm not talking about we talked earlier about social media people and stuff like that. I'm talking about these establishment news outlets with hundreds of $1 million invested into their programming, into all their stuff, trying to figure out where they go from here. Well, if you don't go talk to the people, you're going to end up in the same position. And that includes the Democrats. You better figure out how to talk to people who didn't vote for you and why they didn't vote for you. And what you're going to find is a mixture of people of all makes and models, as I'd like to say, who are saying, yeah, the reason I didn't is because of this. Or the reason I didn't is because it's not all going to be the same. But there will be commonalities among them. And that's what brought everybody together. Very interesting indeed. Speaking of interesting, it was historic.
The fight going all 8 rounds, Paul winning by unanimous decision.
He's the GOAT. I look up to him. I'm inspired by him, and we wouldn't be here today without him.
It was Iron Mike's first sanctioned fight since 2005, when Paul, the YouTube personality turned boxer, was just 8 years old.
What is your assessment of Jake Paul, the boxer?
A very good fighter.
Paul is 27, Tyson is 58. Their 31-year age difference said to be the biggest age gap in professional boxing history.
He was a very good fighter. I thought he was very good. He did all the stuff where he punched me and I punched. They didn't punch each other. That was the frustration that people had. There were times in the fight where they could have punched each other and didn't seem to. Is there a conspiracy? No, because if you're going to have a conspiracy, it's probably going to be a draw. Trump lost the fight, and that was that. And as one person put it, Father Time wins every time. The big issue, though, besides all of that, is the people who tuned in. 60-plus million people tuned in to watch the fight, including my silliness. And what did I have to do? My stepdaughter had to actually stream it on her phone with somebody else watching the fight because we couldn't get it because of the little spinny pinwheel of death.
Netflix is just getting started with live sporting events. They have 2 NFL games on Christmas. There were buffering issues, streaming issues throughout the night with everybody watching. So it looks like some issues have to be worked on in the next month.
You got 2 NFL games. You better get it right because let me tell you something. An exhibition/real sanctioned fight between a 58-year-old former great and a YouTuber is not going to be the same as if you screw up the NFL. Because as we all know, they own a day of the week and they will come for you. Oh, yes, they will. My name's Chad Benson. I'm in for Matt Murphy. A lot of stuff still to squeeze into, even though we got limited time, and I love spending time together with Bell's been just great. His head grew back. He's just been a kind individual. Pickle Rick is arguably the greatest character in television history. And if you've never seen Rick and Morty, am I right or am I right?
I think you're ignoring the important part of that drop, which was 9/11 was an inside job.
Yes, I know. But still, you've brought Pickle Rick into just any time. I have Pickle Rick socks, by the way, just to let you guys know. If you've never seen
Say Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci. Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy at Super Talk 99.7. Sports program brought to you by BetterHelp. Let me tell you something. Having the opportunity to talk to somebody is a good thing. Getting stuff off your mind is a good thing. Aren't you grateful for that? It is that time of the year where we're grateful, that month where we have this gratitude. Maybe it's somebody that's a family member. Maybe you've gone to therapy before. But getting stuff off your chest is a great thing. And BetterHelp wants to help you with that. Now, let me tell you how this works. Everything's done for you, your convenience, right? So you go, it's entirely online, designed to be completely flexible, fit to your schedule. It's awesome. From there, you fill out a brief questionnaire. Not that hard. So you go online, fill out a brief questionnaire. You're going to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. There's nothing wrong with talking to somebody and getting it off your chest. Even if it's stuff that maybe you're just thinking to yourself, I feel grateful, but I want to move forward with certain things and I just want to talk to somebody. Maybe it's a family member you want to help. Whatever it is, try BetterHelp. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Benson today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Benson.
A Nashville man has been hospitalized after being shot by his 4-year-old son. We'll have details. Also, a couple of Nashville country music stars are in the news for entirely different reasons. We'll have those stories coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Now I want to know what they did. I don't know if I can wait that long. Is it good? Tell me it's good.
Well, it depends on your definition of good. One is rather juicy, gossipy. The other is rather sad.
Oh, that's not good. The juicy and gossipy, I'll take a little bit of that. I can't wait for that. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Tennessee's a little bit. We're a people of size kind of state.
You're saying we one of the fatter states?
Yes, nutritional overachievers. That's my uncle. We beat anorexia.
Or underachievers, maybe.
Yes. Memphis is third of the most unhealthy cities in the country, just behind Milwaukee. And number one is Detroit, because by the way, Detroit is 100 out of 100. Highest percentage of adults with diabetes, Detroit. Highest percentage of adults with high blood pressure, Detroit. We can go on and on with obesity. It is a 50-50 in Detroit.
Must be why Lizzo said she loves Detroit.
Oh, yeah. She had to be. My goodness me. We came in 9th. So we've got that going for us. And by we, I mean Nashville.
There's always room for improvement.
There is. We can always do better, guys. If we try harder, we can get to 8. So the healthiest cities, San Jose, Austin, Texas, Seattle, San Diego, and Denver. My goodness, we are unhealthy, though. I was looking at how bad we are. This is not a good look for anybody. We're a large people. People of size. Opioid overdoses didn't help us. Binge drinking, we do okay. Smoking, heavy obesity. Man, Detroit, though, wins it all. Like, Detroit is gross.
Wait a minute. Where are we in binge drinking?
Binge drinking, 17.4%.
Oh, come on, people. Those are rookie numbers.
This is out of...
You got to pump those numbers up.
This is out of 100,000. Death per 100,000, percentage of adults. 17.4% binge drink. Smoking is up there. Heart disease is way up there. I mean, opioids. And heavy obesity. What's heavy obesity? Like, how fat do you have to be?
That's when your fat has fat.
Yeah, that's... when you're so big, you have like a gravitational pull. I mean, that is spectacular.
Dishes fly off of the counter and start orbiting around you.
That's it. So Memphis, though, but no, like as bad as Milwaukee and Memphis and Philly and Tulsa, and Indianapolis. I think I'm on all these places. Maybe it's me. The reality is nobody comes close to Detroit. Detroit is, their motto should be, we're gross. Come to Detroit, we're gross.
I want to see that on a piece of letterhead now.
Oh, my goodness. Their heavy obesity is 45.5. Smoking is almost 30. Opioid, 50. People are doing everything. They're eating, smoking, and drugging their way out of Detroit as fast as they possibly can. Oh, my goodness me. That is crazy. So we got to do better. This is the reason I used to joke about the South never rising again, because we can't. It's impossible. I can't get off the couch. This is, you know what? This just shows you how weird, great, and sad America is. We have television shows where, like, this guy is so fat, we're going to do a TV show around him. These two chicks are so fat, these two sisters, they're going to get their own television show, and we're going to follow around. They can't even ride on those little scooters. They can't. They're too big. You know what I'm talking about? Those little...
Yes, the rascals.
The fatty caps. They're so big, right? They're fatty caps. They've eaten themselves into a disability. Think about that. Like, that's how awesome our country is.
They literally did.
Oh, my God. Oh. What's wrong with Sharon? She's so big, she can't leave the house. We're going to have to take the roof off. Could you imagine that? Oh, my Lord. My name is Chad Benson. We'll have more insults coming up in a little bit. I'm in for Matt Murphy right here on the Matt Murphy program. Now we're going to find out what happened to those country stars, huh? Could be very exciting. Could be very sad. Could be a bit of both. Salaciousness is what I hear. We'll be doing that straight ahead. It is Chad Benson in for Matt Murphy. It is Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. We are coming up on 2:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A complete forecast is on the way. A Nashville man receiving treatment at Vanderbilt University Medical Center after being accidentally shot by his son over the weekend. That's according to Metro Police. Police responded to a home on Rosa Parks Boulevard just before 9 a.m. Sunday to reports of a shooting. Following an investigation, police believe that the victim, a 24-year-old man, was shot in the lower back by his 4-year-old son. The victim being treated at Vandy for non-life-threatening injuries. Officers reportedly did recover a semi-automatic pistol at the scene of the shooting. No other details have been released at this time. Country singer-songwriter Daryl Worley is asking the public for prayers after his daughter was flown to a Nashville hospital after a wreck over the weekend. Worley left his show in New Mexico to fly back to Music City after his wife told him that their daughter, Savannah, was involved in a very serious auto accident. She was flown to a hospital with a broken leg, bruises, and lacerations. She is expected to be okay. And finally, singer-songwriter Jamie Johnson, he was arrested in Williamson County this weekend, according to authorities. Johnson charged with possession of drugs and speeding, according to the Mobile Patrol app. The district attorney's office overseeing Williamson County confirmed the arrest, but would not confirm the charges, however. His bond, though, set at $500,000. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Bulwark Capital this week. Chance for you to sit down with my buddies over at Bulwark Capital and talk about your retirement. You get one of these things. I want you guys to know that. So they're doing a free live webinar, and they call it their second opinion, where you get to see what it is that they do, how they manage the money. And their big thing is risk management. It is their final one of the year, and it is really cool. They walk you through the steps of what it is that they do and how they manage risk, especially in a time that's crazy. It's 3:30 Pacific. It means 5:30 our time. No obligation for you. Get to know them. Get to see all the things they do. What will happen in the upcoming year? How does the election results and what's going on in the world impact your portfolio? And a bunch of other things they're going to take on. You'll be able to ask questions. Not going to cost anything but a little bit of time. It is this Thursday, November 21st at 3:30 Pacific. It's 5:30 right here. If you want to sign up, simple and easy to do. Go to knowyourriskradio.com. That's KNOW, yourriskradio.com, knowyourriskradio.com. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not a guarantee. Past performance not guaranteed. Future results, Inc. 24367. Sonny Houston of The View, the Gaggling Hens, today was upset that Morning Joe, that's the hell freezing over, went to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. They say, kiss thy ring. So that's supposedly what Joe Scarborough and them did. And she had a lot to say about it because she's very angry.
Look, the bottom line is that America needs a free press that is willing to speak truth to power right now.
Okay, who doesn't agree with that? But you say truth, right? Like you're going to give the whole side. Both sides do this, by the way. This isn't a both sidisms. Both sides, in a lot of way, only want to give their team's score. So, what does that mean? Well, it's like imagine if you were playing a football game. You said, we scored 25. What did the other team score? We scored 25. They may have scored 20. They may have scored 30, but they're only giving their version of the score. So both sides have been known to do that. I'm just letting you guys know that.
When we think about the president-elect and cover the president-elect, and I don't think you need to sit down for 90 minutes at Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring to be able to speak truth and to be able to cover a story. So maybe they're not journalists in the true sense. Maybe they're saying that they're opinion journalists. But we have to remember that Trump is the guy who ushered in the era of fake news.
Okay.
He is the guy who ushered in alternative facts.
Okay.
He is the guy who attacked 3 black female journalists.
Where did that happen? Bell, do you remember that? Who are the 3 black female journalists he attacked?
I have no idea.
I'm trying to remember. I remember him getting attacked this year at the National Association of Black Journalists luncheon, but he went there and he got yelled at and he, held his ground and he showed up. But I'm trying to think of the 3 black journalists that he attacked.
Well, I'm sure there's got to be at least 3 because he's literally Hitler.
Oh, he is literally Hitler.
Literally.
Yeah.
Hitler.
Well, he is the new wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. I don't really, but I'm trying to think of who they were because I would have remembered that. I remember when he attacked Megyn Kelly. Remember that? Blood coming out her eyes, and everybody freaked out about that. But I don't remember. And I'm sure he did say something that offended somebody that then became something more than it should have because welcome to the world. Continue, Sonny Houston.
He's the guy that revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials for asking him a question.
Really? Does anybody remember Mr. Rosen? Anybody? James Rosen? Jim Rosen, for those of you guys? I want you to keep that. I want you to write that down. Hold that up right there. Baby birds, hold that. We'll get back to Jim in a second because you just heard about Jim Acosta, who, by the way, makes a living off Donald Trump. The minute Donald Trump wasn't in office, you never heard a word from Jim Acosta.
And so I think that this president-elect, I hate to say it, would like nothing more than to have only Fox News cover him, would like nothing more than a state-sponsored media. And I don't think he can be trusted in the way that other presidents can be trusted. This is an aberration.
But the reality is he doesn't just have Fox News. He didn't do a lot of mainstream media this election, but he went on Joe Rogan and reached 50 million people.
There you go. Okay. So a lot to dig out there from Sonny Houston and The View. He went all over. He did a lot of different things. That's absolutely true. He didn't spend all of his money. He didn't spend $1 billion+. That actually was over $2 billion if you count in all the PACs and everything else. And all the donors are a little pissed off because they're like, where'd our money go? And you might as well have burned it. That being said, alternative facts. We got a lot of that with Russia, right? We did. We got a lot of that with Russia. That's not. Look, I'll tell you guys this right now. Trump tells the dumbest lies in the history of the world. Do you remember when he sent poor Sean Spicer out there? He's like, go tell everybody I'm the biggest, giantest, everybody was hiding in the back. You couldn't see them. That was stupid, right? And I remember interviewing Sean a couple of years after he left, and he said, I'm like, dude, how did you have to think to yourself, oh, God, really? Right? And you're pulling out, boards and you're pointing at stuff. It was ridiculous. There's no reason. Trump's the guy that catches a fish, and it's a piranha. But he says it's a great white shark. Both of them aren't the pleasant fish, and they can do damage. The reality is, though, why did you do it? Well, there's some truth in what it is, but he does those kind of things. Now, when it gets to the fake news and alternative facts, none of these shows anymore, because everybody gives their own kind of sets of facts because we believe in truth, and the truth is whatever we say it is. But you talked about, oh, my God, he kicked out Jim Acosta. Okay. And by the way, Fox and all of those everybody you say he would love to be, only covering him, they all stood up for Jim Acosta. They all did. But I said, write down a name. Did I not? I said it. And what was that name?
Rosen.
James Rosen. Who was James Rosen? Well, he was a reporter who Obama had investigated. The Justice Department under Eric Holder. A secret search warrant targeting Rosen's emails and other records. What? Was he a part of something? He was accused in a Justice Department affidavit of being a possible criminal co-conspirator. And everybody lost their mind on that, including the left-leaning media. It's like, whoa. But that's never brought up. This wasn't, you get out of here, you're a jerk, Jim. You're only here to start fights. This wasn't that. This wasn't any of that. This was, we think this guy's a bad guy. We think he's doing all, we should probably get a tap. Somebody get us a wiretap. Find out what's going on with this character, this James Rosen character. Fox News contributor, former Judge Andrew Napolitano, said this is the first time that the federal government has moved to this level of taking ordinary, reasonable, traditional, lawful reporter skills, claiming their constitutes criminal behavior. So before everybody runs out there and goes, oh, my God, look at all the stuff. They're just going there to kiss the ring. Part of it. They're also probably going there trying to figure out what the hell happened. They don't know. They're still trying to figure it out. They're still fighting amongst themselves. And I'm watching people lose their mind over this still makes me laugh a little bit. I'm thinking to myself, well, why are you so angry? You lost, you turn around, you do what? We were talking to Tim Burchett earlier about the UFOs, which he did agree that there probably are things out there that we cannot explain that are from not of this world, dimension, whatever you want to call it. But he said, if you think that the Democrats are going anywhere, they're not. Tell you who I would worry about next is if this doesn't go over well for the Republicans and they can't get their crap together, because as much as I want them to get it together, I often wonder about the people behind the scenes trying to pull this together, and can they pull this off? Because great intentions sometimes have flailing people behind it, and that's one of the things we've seen in the past. And that's where my skepticism always comes in at times with Republicans and the right side of the aisles. Can they pull something off? But the Democrats are going to go back, and there's going to be an infighting like you could not believe. And the infighting is going to lead to, I think, a progressive movement that is going to be more pro-worker, which is going to grab more people, to kind of what Trump did. And they're going to go hard at taxing the rich, turning it into class warfare, which is scary. But it's a winning subject because Trump went after it as well. Do you know at one time Trump said, you know what, I want to raise taxes on the wealthy. And everybody's like, no, don't do that. Because he knows. You could raise I've got friends who are stupid wealthy. I have a friend of ours who started a company, and he sold it. He was a quarter of the $4.5 billion they got. So, yes, he's in that billion. And he always used to joke, dude, you guys could tax me to 100%. You're never going to touch any of my money. You're going to get what you can get, but you're not, if you think. And that was it. So, but everybody's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Trump wanted to go in a certain direction, which I would have thought would have been a better idea, but that's what the left is going to do. And they're going to come hard. So these people aren't going anywhere. The battle is still going to be there. And media is not going anywhere. It's just changing. And I have a feeling this is going to be interesting too. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm right. I think that you're going to see in this next White House, as far as, pool of reporters, you're going to see some independent media that you would think you would never see before. And I'm not talking about podcasters. I'm talking about other groups of people that are going to be involved in this, because that's where we are. It is. So the Sonny Houstons of the world who are worried about, oh, he was mean to Jim Acosta and stuff like that. This is all changing. Everything is changing. And the battle is on. And I saw Joe Manchin today, something that I believe wholeheartedly. I would love to see a strong third party in this country. I think it would be great. I think it would be necessary to keep from extremes controlling everything. And I think there's a chance of something like that happening. And I always thought a businessman like Trump, or even some other one, because you have to be top heavy. You're not building it from the bottom up. This is just impossible to do. You're just not going to do it. Even with social media, you're not going to do it. But I do think there's going to be that. I think there's going to be, and you don't have to have, everybody's like, well, you mean like a third? You don't have to have a third. If you have 10 to 15%, you're going to be able to build coalitions, which is important. So this is going to be very interesting. But when I hear stuff like, he's about alternative facts, whatever. Sonny Houston. He's about being, mean to people. Again, doesn't matter. Settle down. Driving everybody crazy. I mean, right? I mean, it's just a bunch of crap. They went and spoke to him. Why would you do that? Because that's what you do. He's the president-elect. They're trying to figure stuff out. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll keep getting what you get. You just hear the rhetoric. You have no idea what's behind it. You hear the rhetoric and what you think is anger because somebody who you support says it's that, yet you haven't talked to him. Have you really? No. But the people have. And the American people said, we want that guy. Through all of the crap, through all the ups, the downs, the sideways, the lunacy, the anger, the fighting, the lies, all of that stuff, they said, that character right there is who we want. And that character is who you got. So be prepared for a wild ride. I was talking to Mandis earlier today. I'll tell you what, I have a feeling it's going to be a wild ride. Now the question is, will he be the one that tells us where the aliens is? Because Trump is like, look, guys, I got to do it. Right? It's me. It's me. And I'm telling everybody who killed Kennedy. You guys don't get to do it.
I want the Kennedy info first.
The Kennedy info is an interesting thing because obviously with all of the redacted information, all that stuff, and the fact that Trump was a bit aghast, but you're talking about agencies that supposedly Americans trust, and that would break all the trust. And, was it Pompeo that basically said, dude, you cannot do this? I don't know if you called him dude. That'd have been cool. You cannot do this because, so we'll find out, man. I'll tell you what, I think we'll find Kennedy out, though.
I want the information, and I want it in a timely fashion so that I can sit down with Oliver Stone's movie and compare the files to the movie. Because I'm sure that Oliver got a lot of that crap right.
Oh, my goodness. It's going to be crazy. Crazy indeed. I'm Chad Benson, in for Matt Murphy, who'll be up here in a little bit. I think he's going to come on in and talk to us, which should be a lot of fun. Before we do any of that, though, we got some news, a bunch of other stuff. It is Chad Benson right here on Super Talk 99.7.
Not one person has accused me of sexual
assault. No. We're having Milt, our conversation here, was not for safer radio, is awesome.
I think it's safe for radio.
You think?
For the most part, except for a couple of those words you were saying to me.
That's okay. I'm fine with that.
Very hurtful, Chad.
What are you talking about on the big show today?
What's happening, Chad? I don't know. Let's find out together at 3:00-something.
That sounds like a good time.
No, I mean, obviously, we can't. What is the old phrase? I always get this wrong. We can't win for losing. We can't lose for winning.
Yeah.
We're ripping defeat from the jaws of victory, or whatever the hell it is.
They can't go 5 minutes and celebrate and take a deep breath. They're infighting. By the way, it's not just Democrats yelling at Republicans. This is Republican on Republican crime.
Well, and I want to remind everyone, and I'm certain that you have as well, and I'm certain all day long we've been talking about this, but just want to remind everyone that just because there is a first pick for X, whatever it is, Secretary of Defense or Attorney General or whatever, those are just happen to be the two that come to mind. That doesn't mean that that's the only person in the United States of America that is eminently qualified to do those jobs. So we don't need to I don't think it does any good to dig in so deeply on this November 18th on some of these issues. And frankly, with regard to Hexeth, and this is what you and I were talking about a moment ago, if you're incurious about the accuracy of some of this reporting, I would suggest to you you're allowing your bias to get in the way of your common sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to know how much of these things are true. That's, if there's been some serious issues where you've paid women out and you've had to do some things, I feel uncomfortable in that situation. And even if it's coming to light now, whether it's good or bad, the fact is we have a right to know. Same thing with, which won't happen now that he stepped away. But you and I both know that at some point in time, Matt Gaetz' thing is going to come forward because it's
of course it
DC.
Will.
But we have a right to know, and it's about the picking. I think he's a sacrificial lamb, as do you, Matt Gaetz.
I do. I believe he's kind of the antelope on the Serengeti, and the slowest antelope always is the one that gets caught. So we'll start there. We'll talk about the good things. We'll talk about Trump at UFC 309
and
over the weekend.
Aliens, baby. Tim Burchett came on and said there's aliens.
Oh yeah, there's aliens.
We know it. They're not just the ones that come here from different countries.
And another congressman, if we get enough of them, we'll have a quorum. Congressman John Rose at 5:05 this afternoon.
It's going to be a party here. Matt Murphy in for Brian Wilson. I'm in for Matt Murphy. Thanks so much. Super Talk 99.7.